I'm Julie Goldman, Managing Editor for the Journal of eScience Librarianship, published by the University of Massachusetts in Worcester, Massachusetts. I am joined today by Associate Professor Rong Tang and Watinee Sae-Lim from the Simmons College School of Library and Information Science in Boston to talk about their recent research project analyzing data science programs in United States higher education. Thank you both for sharing your work with the eScience community.
You're welcome.
So first, your study looked at data science programs in many disciplines, including the arts and sciences, business, computer science, engineering, independent data centers, math and statistics, professional studies, and iSchools. So why do you think it is important for iSchools in particular to provide programs and training in data science?
Well, that's a great question, but I don't know whether there's an easy answer to it. So data science, as it first started, was initially sort of coined by this person called Jeff Wu from Georgia Institute of Technology. In a keynote speech he made to University of Michigan, he basically called the change of the discipline of statistics into data science. He believes that the statistical work is a trilogy of data collection, data modeling and analysis, and decision making. So he sort of popularized this notion of data science and advocated for statistics to be renamed as data science and statistician as data scientist. For us, what's intriguing about data science is we don't think that data science just is purely statistics. There's some kind of conceptual and theoretical foundation which ties very close to information science. So when we talk about iSchool, it's the information school. And there are a lot of theories. I mean, information science is the discipline that basically sort of deals with the creation, origination, retrieval, storage, sharing, the entire process of information. There are a lot of close affinity, conceptual affinity between information science and this newly emerged data science. And I believe information science is a meta discipline, has a lot to contribute to data science, and probably the data science itself also will enrich the curriculum of information science as a meta discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So you kind of alluded to why you're interested in this, but why are you interested in this area of librarianship?
My interest goes back like several years ago. I first did a pilot study about how faculty members who are also researchers manage their research data. And I found out that their data management behaviors did not differ from one another that much. And I also did a small-scale study about how future librarians manage their own data. And interestingly, I found out that the pattern of their behaviors were not that much different. And but to me, I think in order to support our users, I think we should do better than that. And today, research is more and more like data intensive. And one skill set or one discipline is not sufficient to handle that massive amount of data anymore. So we look at the data science program, which is a blending of disciplines. And also, it is not only iSchools that host, this kind of program. There are various schools that offer DS programs. So we were interested in their focuses, similarities, differences, and how they, position themselves, especially iSchools.
Yeah.
So that's why we began this study.
Great, great. So your research paper is really an exploratory content analysis of these data science programs, their curriculums, and the courses they offer. So what were your main research questions?
So we had 4 research questions. This is more simplified version of the questions we asked. So the first question were, what are the linguistic characteristics of the DS program description? So we look at the website of these data science programs, and we look at how they describe the program is about. So that's the first question. The second question is, what kind of curriculum requirement do they have? And the third question is, what proportion of the DS courses were on domain knowledge, were covering domain knowledge? What proportion of the DS courses were covering analytical skills? This is actually based on the business intelligence framework we borrowed from Chen's publication, Chen's et al.'s publication. They divided analytical skills into 3 levels.
Yes.
So we were wondering what percentage of the DS courses currently addressing what level of analytical skills and domain knowledge. And then the last one is we looked at the DS courses in terms of whether they're focusing on communication skills, information skills, visualization skills, and math and statistics. So that's the last research
So really
question.
blending, as you said, the different
Yes,
disciplines
correct.
together.
Yes, correct. Because we have learned from our literature review that a data scientist is not only must have analytical skills, but they should be able to communicate their, results to people who are not data scientists. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you sampled 30 data science programs throughout the United States. And how did you identify these programs, and what was your methodology for analyzing each program?
We discovered 3 sources.
3 websites.
3 websites for our sample framework. But those websites are not grouped by disciplines. So we needed to go through each and group those. Firstly, we need to separate those schools, whether or not they are in the US, because they just arrange all schools by alphabetical.
Oh.
So Europe, America, and Canada, they are mixed in that sources. And then we extract those to be our sample framework. And then we group by discipline and then randomly select 4 of each discipline. Yeah.
However, there were, so we had 8 disciplines, and there are 2 disciplines that didn't have more than 3. So we end up having 30 in total is because of these 2 disciplines that do not necessarily have 4.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. So your, what were each of your roles in the research project?
Well, Wa did mainly the data collection, extraction, processing, and we did coding together. We also, so the first task was looking at the program description in terms of the length, in terms of what are the common terms they use, what are the unique terms they use, And then, so we coded together for that, and then we looked at each course included on the website of these DS programs, and we sort of coded by the analytical skills and domain knowledge. Then we did a second round of coding, which is looking at whether they have communication skills, they cover communication skills, data visualization skills, information skills, and math and statistics. Yeah.
So your analysis really focused on those program descriptions, what the curriculum structure was, and
Right.
What each course was focused on.
Right.
So what were your findings based on the different disciplines?
Well, it's sort of there are a good set of quantitative results. So in terms of the program description, we looked at the average length of each discipline's program description. So the highest it was independent data science centers. They have an average of 303 words in their program description. Yeah, and then we had iSchool. We had math as the second and third, and then the shortest average description is from business school and arts and sciences. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the unique words?
Okay, so the unique words, we found out that independent data science centers have, the most unique words used. iSchools are ranked number 2, and then engineering, the computer science is the least.
So it's sort of similar to the average length.
Of program description. So then frequently used word. Frequently used words, we look at the similarity and for those program description among 8 disciplines. And we found out that of course data is the most frequently used term. Definitely. And then business, program analysis, and skills. And the least frequently used words is computer science.
So we looked at, as I said, we looked at some of the common terms, either by the calculation of across disciplines, how many terms are covered by all 8 disciplines, and how many terms are covered by all 30 programs. So there are 30 programs. So in terms of the highest, the most common term, as I said, is data, which is all 8 disciplines have the program description using the term data, and then 26 programs out of 30 use the term data. But then there are other terms: business, industry, model, profession, tools, fields, techniques, and so forth. So that's the common terms.
But the terms that big data, interestingly, is the least term that appear across 8 disciplines, which is interesting.
That's not the least, because what we choose here is 6.
Yeah, across 6.
Yeah, 6 disciplines and across 12. Yeah. So the next set of results is related to curriculum structure. So we looked at how many courses were required, how many credit hours were required courses, and how many credit hours were devoted for electives. And we also looked at whether they have CAPSTONE or practicum, because one of the things that's frequently mentioned in their program description is the practice knowledge, applied knowledge. So for that, out of 30 programs, the average of credit hours required is 40 credit hours. But what's interesting is there are a huge proportion of courses as required courses, and only small portion is elective. So we're talking about the average of 40 required credit hours with 30 in core courses, core credit hours, and then only 10 in electives. So they're focusing more on the required, just a little bit on electives. iSchools, interestingly, have the highest credit hours required for both core and elective. It has 71 total credit hours required, and 53 devoted for core, and then 18 devoted for electives. But this is biased by a Carnegie Mellon University where they have 180 total credit hours required.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's sort of biased by that particular, yeah. Then in terms of the number of courses listed on their website, Independent Data Science Center has the highest, and then Professional Studies has the lowest in the core. They only have 8 courses listed. iSchool has the lowest number of classes listed as electives. That's 7. Yeah. So then we looked at the CAPSTONE, as I mentioned before, CAPSTONE and PRACTICUM. What's interesting is out of 30 programs, we found there are only 10 has a requirement of practicum or special projects, and only 6 require CAPSTONE. Even though we find a frequently occur term as practice, applied knowledge in their program description, we're talking about 33% offering practicum or requiring practicum, and 20% requiring CAPSTONE. So there's seemingly there's a gap there. So for instance, University of Virginia has in their Data Science Institute described their CAPSTONE as some kind of research project proposal. They're working with faculty to address a particular important data science challenge, and then the faculty from different disciplines help them to work together to develop the proposal. So that's a CAPSTONE example from UVA. So what do you want to talk about?
But we also look at their core course focus. So for the core course focus, we, as Rong told you before, that we coded the courses by look at to the domain knowledge and analytical skills. And in analytical skills, we divided into 3 levels: skill 1, 2, and 3, and then domain knowledge. And look at these 8 disciplines. iSchool has the most domain knowledge, which is 29%. And also for the skill 1, mathematics and statistics school ranked number 1, 77.78%. And iSchools is the only discipline that offer courses in for skill 3 level.
Just to add some explanation of the skill 1, 2, 3, the differences between them is skill 1 is addressing more structured data. Skill 2 is unstructured, sort of web-based, and skill 3 is mobile. So it's sort of ubiquitous kind of data, mobile enabled. So if you're looking at skill 1, emphasis that will be just really much on structured data, and then upper level more unstructured.
And then for electives, We also call that the same as, core course focuses. For the skill one, about the structure data, mathematics and statistics is ranked, again, number one, 64.42%, and engineering is ranked number one in skill two, 27.56%. And for domain knowledge, in electives, business schools is the number one, 86.67%. And for the core course, focuses on the communication skills, mathematics and statistics, information skills, and visualization skills. You want to emphasize that?
So what's interesting is in terms of core courses, information skill, the highest percentage coverage in the core curriculum is from professional studies, courses from professional studies, not from iSchool. You would imagine that iSchool would emphasize a lot more in their core, the information skills. But there are embarrassingly listed as an average of number 4. So we're talking about 8 different disciplines, and number 4 is just right in the middle. And but in terms of the communication skills, all disciplines cover very limited proportion. The highest will be from computer science, with 13% of coverage. Math and statistics, no surprise there, because math and statistics tend to offer more on their own subject matter, which is 38, almost 39%. Visualization also didn't get a high, sort of large coverage either. The highest would be from computer science as 12.5%. Next is from engineering, which is 10.9%. So what's sort of surprising here is, one, information skills would not cover the highest by iSchool. Secondly, visualization seemed to be very lacking, and communication skills seems to be very lacking.
Do you think the
core.
visualization is because it's kind of a newer area, or?
Yeah, we don't know why that's happening. That's covered more from computer science and engineering. Probably more from the programming point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, electives. We also looked at communication, mathematics, information skill, and visualization. For electives, the communication skill also cover nearly nothing. No disciplines actually cover communication skill. The only one that's covered communication skill is from arts and science, 0.57%. And then we have math and statistics, again covering the highest proportion of math and statistics knowledge. So we have 46.7%. Information skills is covered in electives by iSchool, the highest proportion. So we're talking about 27%. Visualization is again not being fully emphasized by any discipline very much, but engineering has the highest coverage, which is 12%. So that's sort of interesting to us, specifically related to iSchool. I think you asked a question about iSchool. Why are we interested in iSchool? Because we are in the LIS field. So there are some gaps we find from studying this sort of curriculum requirement. So the DS program in iSchools, the core coverage on scale 1.0 is the lowest, their core coverage. Their core coverage on math and statistics is the lowest. Their core coverage on information skills is not the highest, because they're ranked number 4. And they have a very low core coverage on communication skills and none in electives. They have a very low core coverage on visualization skills and none in electives. So there are a lot of gaps that we identify for iSchools, of course, for other areas as well. But in terms of the results, these are the key things.
Key things, yeah. So again, your results show those low percentages associated with the data science programs at iSchools. So addressing those programs specifically, how do you think these findings really influence library students, educators, and just professional practice in general?
So in terms of the how our funding actually influence library student, I think for the future library LIS, in terms of curriculum development, data science is a very important skill set. It's a newly emerged field, but as the field have been keep evolving, the traditional LIS curriculum need to be adjusted to sort of enable our graduates to go out there to be able to function in libraries that actually handle large amount of research data. So as the LIS students look for sort of data science degree programs to enhance their educational background, to sort of enhance their marketability or seek for new career direction, they need to keep in mind in terms of current DS offering, there are really different disciplines have different directions. So they need to see which one actually match with their background, which one actually can help them to expand their horizon. So it's not, an LIS student can become a very good data scientist. It's not just exclusively for students who can do quantitative, do numbers. So.
I want to add to Rong's point that actually when we did the literature review from the industry's point of view and from the educators' point of view, they both point out that domain knowledge and analytical skills both are equally important. And as you can see from our results, many disciplines focuses on only analytical skills and leave domain knowledge mostly to electives, which could mean that some students may not or may or may not, choose those kind of courses for the domain knowledge. So that's the other thing that we found out, that we should, like those LRS students should keep that in mind as well if they want to be a data scientist.
In terms of professional practice, so we did find there are gaps in terms of covering higher level of analytical skills, as we mentioned before. So if students are only able to handle more structured data, not able to handle more large quantity, unstructured, new form of data, then there's some kind of, and also there's a lack of training visualization skills and communication skills. So I think for libraries that have positions open for data science librarians, they need to keep in mind there's some gaps there in terms of the student learning. So when they actually go to work in the field, they need to learn more during, at work in terms of these more realistic new form of data, how to handle them, enhance their knowledge. Also for me as the LIS faculty member, my observation is actually there's a trend in terms of developing data science program. A lot of schools, iSchools or just regular library schools, they want to develop this program more as a sort of some kind of directive from upstairs. So people, like let's say the president or the dean believe there's the importance of developing such a program. So what they do is they change the current existing courses, change the title to be making it more of suitable for data science. I think what's lacking is more in-depth thinking of what is the intellectual core for data science. Is it the same as statistics? Is the same as computer science? Can we just change the current existing computer science courses and give it new title, like introduction to, used to be, let's say, introduction to programming, you call it introduction to data management or something like that. Can that work? What I observe is there's a lack of really in-depth thinking of what defines data science as an independent academic discipline. One of the writers that we review in our literature review is Cleveland. He said data science curriculum should have 20% devoted to theory development. So what is the theory for data science? And I think that's sort of lacking from what we find from the result of the data sets, but also from my experience in sort of looking at how new data science programs, some of the data science programs emerge without really some kind of logistic thinking of why do we need this and what's the difference between data science and statistics and computer science and engineering. So we actually try to look at independent data science center because they're independent. So we're thinking, so they must have a lot of new courses developed on their own to sort of establish the disciplinary boundary, even though we know that data science is multidisciplinary. But there must be something that sort of say, this is data science own course. But we didn't find a lot of new courses. They also borrow from other disciplines. So you still have CS courses there. You still have business courses there, which is fine. But we were hoping to find something that sort of link all these courses together. So you have some kind of structure in this sort of data science program. That's yet to be seen. We haven't actually found something that's really,
When we saw this in other disciplines, it wasn't that surprising. But when we looked closely at independent DS centers, that was something interesting.
Really stuck out. Great. So you mentioned, information professionals have that theoretical background and are really definitely in a prime position to help with the managing and curating and even visualizing data. And your findings suggest that data science in the library and information schools needs to improve because there are gaps. So what do you really envision for the future of library school curriculum and education surrounding data science programs?
Well, I mean, library information science, it has always been evolving and it's a dynamic field because let's say 10 years ago, what students learn from the LIS school in terms of cataloging and classification or some kind of traditional LIS skills now have been evolved into metadata, but we have new things emerge. I believe that data science is sort of a new innovative, give us added new innovative skills that we need to incorporate into library information science education. We, as an information profession, we need to be educating students who are forward-looking and who can actually handle whatever is will emerge in the future. So right now we're actually looking at completely new information environment than let's say 10 years ago. Now we have information really in different kind of format, not just the textual information or printed. We have everything in electronic format. We also have, access to anywhere that you can access information in different different format. So we need to be able to provide curriculum that can adjust and can adopt new way of handling and managing data,
Right,
and this is what this is absolutely necessary for the students to learn about data science. Also give them, as I mentioned before, give them new marketability and new profession. In the recent Algiers Library Journal's salary survey, placement salary survey, there are few top earned positions in library school. The first one is software engineer, but the second one, very close to software engineer, is the UX researcher and designer.
Usability. Yeah.
Yes. The third one is the data scientist and data analyst, and they are currently not a lot. I believe out of the Algiers survey, only five people responded in terms of so far position. There are 35 in UX, but like 5. So I think there's a need for data scientists in libraries or other information organizations. We just need to be able to provide high quality education for the future data scientists who will work in the library or information profession.
So as you said, it's really looking at the curriculum as a whole, the program as a whole, not just renaming a course to kind of fulfill a need. It's doing a more overhaul.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Rong and Hua, for joining me today. Your research is of great interest to the information education and the role librarians can have in many areas of research. Thank you. So please read Rong's and Hua's full research paper by following the link in the corresponding transcript article.